Welcome back, guys. Today our color is blue and our blue fruit that I have picked is blueberries. So we are going to make a blueberry banana bread. It's a very simple recipe. You need 8 ingredients. We will need some overripe bananas, some blueberries, some honey, baking powder, 2 eggs, lemon, and some oats. So let's get started. First, we're going to start off with 2 overripe bananas. We're just going to put them in our bigger bowl. We'll need 2 bowls, one for dry ingredients and one for wet. After we get our bananas in our bowl, we can either use a fork or an immersion blender to mix this up. All right. And if you don't have an immersion blender, a fork works just fine. After we blend up our bananas, we will want to add 2 eggs. And then we are going to mix those, and we want it to be blended in. Now we are going to move on to our dry ingredients. I think I forgot to mention that you will need almond flour for this recipe. If you have regular flour, that works just fine. I'm going to start with 1/2 cup of almond flour. We're going to start mixing this in with our dry ingredients. And then I'm going to add, let's see, 1 1/2 cups of oats. And we're going to do something different with these oats. This recipe calls for oat flour, but instead of buying it, I thought it would be fun to just blend it up at home. You can do this with the immersion blender that I used earlier, or you can use just a regular blender. So to make our oat flour, we can use a blender or an immersion blender, and you just blend it up until your oats are fine like a powder. Oh! I'm gonna measure this out and add 3 teaspoons of baking powder to my dry ingredients. All right, and then we're just gonna mix that up. Next, we are going to add our dry ingredients to our wet ingredients. We are going to use a handheld mixer for this one. And you just wanna add a little at a time, maybe about 1/2 the bowl, and you mix on low. Okay, that looks good, so I'm going to add a little more. And you just want to keep mixing until there are no clumps. All right, that looks good. Okay, now I'm going to measure out 3 tablespoons of honey. If you don't have honey on hand, you can substitute it with maple syrup. You can use sugar, just something to add a little sweetness. That's 2 tablespoons. And here's our 3rd. All right, next you're gonna grab your lemon and let an adult help you slice it. We're probably going to need about 1/2 a lemon. I'm just going to cut it long ways. And you can see the seeds in there, so I don't want that on my banana bread, so I'm going to take those out. And then I'm just going to squeeze some lemon juice in there. There we go. And here's the fun part. Now we get to add our blue fruit. So So I'm gonna add about 1 cup of blueberries. You can add more if you'd like. So let's see. There we go. For this part, you're going to want to use a fork to fold in your blueberries. Let's see, I think I'm gonna add a little more. About another handful. All right, that looks good. So now I'm going to transfer this to a loaf pan that has been greased, and I'm going to bake it at 350 for about 45 minutes.